The Monster Mile plays host to the 9th race of the season for the Fuel Grand National Series as all the drivers flock to the Concrete Canyon in Dover, Delaware. Hi, hello, and good afternoon, race fans. It's a clear afternoon in the capital of the first state as we welcome you to the Dover Motor Speedway for the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic. Welcome everybody to today's Intercast here on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright, and it's fitting that the home stretch of the season begins at Dover Downs. These horses are about to rip around the Monster Mile. Dover has produced a ton of great racing over the years, and we're set to add to that list here this afternoon with yet another fantastic contest. 19 entries on the docket so far here. Ike Durbin will bump draft a little bit with Tyler Stallhood in the late stages of practice here at Dover. Even though the Monster Mile is technically an intermediate track that is exactly a mile long, it races a lot like a short track. We'll be having some short track qualifying for tonight's race. We'll have two 25-lap heat races prior to the main 75-lap event, with Heat 1 setting the inside lane for the main and Heat 2 will set the outside. They don't call Dover the Monster Mile for no reason. This track has had a history of being tough on these cars, and we've seen big wrecks and thrilling moments here before at Dover. It's a little bit similar to Hillside and Bristol in terms of layout, a high-banked mile made of concrete instead of asphalt, which makes for more loose cars and a slicker surface. It takes a lot of experience to be able to master Dover. Typically see veterans go to Gatorade victory lanes, such as Vincenzo Focusato there in the 37. Same thing with the 1 of Apollo Hyde, as the 92 of Kirsten Bell won last week at Chicago. Looks to get the job done here, as we're a couple of moments away from qualifying beginning for the heat races. So we'll send it over to that. Send it downstairs to qualifying in heat number 1 here from Dover. Focusato leads the field going into turn number 2, and here onto the back straightaway there in that one machine. Bell right on the back end of the 1 car as they begin to pull away from the 42 of Emily Schizzato. Ike Durbin right now and Tate Dorsey on the inside. Same thing with Tyler Stallhood, rounding out everybody up in here. 25 laps to decide who will come on here for the inside lane for the 75-lap feature here at Dover Motor Speedway in Dover, Delaware. Apollo Hyde continues to show the way in the 1 car. Bell closing in was a quarter of a second back of the 1 machine. Both of these drivers looking for the pole position here in heat number 1 as Hyde continues to lead lap number 5 of this heat number 1 of the afternoon. Here comes Schizzato with Ike Durbin right behind her. Durbin just trying to find a way around Schizzato. Schizzato, who last week had a horrifying accident right into the tire barriers at the Chicago Street Course. Looking for a little bit better of a result here this afternoon at the Monster Mile. Looking to start in the 5th starting spot right now, with Durbin right now would be starting in 7th. As these two continue to battle, they're starting to allow both Hyde and Bell to pull away, with Durbin just trying to get around that 42 car. Tate Dorsey making this a menage a trois in this battle for 3rd. Durbin just trying to find any way he can around Schizzato, and all 3 of these cars now in line here on lap 7 of heat number 1. Dorsey just looking for a lane. Up the racetrack goes Ike, trying to find a lane around that 42 car. Bell still on the back end of Hyde. Hyde continues to lead here, coming around to lead lap number 8 for the EEE sports car. Stallhood, Conti back in here. Same thing with the 33 machine. That's Turner Williams, who was running a really loose setup in qualifying, or rather practice, I should say. Toyota Gazoo Racing entry right now 10 seconds off of the pace, and here we go, battle for the pole position. Here comes Kirsten Bell down to the low side of the one machine, looking for the slide job, wasn't able to get it down in time, but Apollo Hyde will subside, and Kirsten Bell to the front in car number 92. Bell going to the lead, won last week at Chicago. Their first ever start, here in their second ever start. Looking to get things going here. So Apollo Hyde falls down to second. Now Ike Durbin able to get around Emily Schizzato for that third spot. Everybody just trying to track down Kirsten Bell there in that 92 car, midway home through this first heat. Rumble off of the corner. There's the gap between the two separate leads. A little bit wide of an exit there off of turn 2 there for Durbin. Schizzato just trying to take that spot right back away from the 86, but she's going to get a little bit of loose out of the corner as well. Tate Dorsey hold on to it. Put that right side quarter panel right against the safer barrier, but he's able to keep that red, white, and blue Spotify Ford Mustang straight. Bell starting to increase their speed over Apollo Hyde there on the one car. The last time by, Hyde was only 0.3 of a second back of the 92. Bell looking for the pole position here for the 75-lap main event, coming around to 11 laps to go in heat number 1. We're talking a little bit with Apollo Hyde, and she was saying to everybody that, hey, the setup is pretty good for the long run. The setup is more tailored towards a long run car with worn out Goodyear Eagles. We're 15 laps into this run, so the cars and the tires are going to be beat up here a little bit. Could play into her favor as Hyde now a quarter of a second back of the 92. A little bit of a netcode wiggle off of the corner there for Hyde, but they continue to go straight. So they're going to catch up to the 33, and now Bell really loose out of the corner, and here comes Apollo Hyde to retake the lead. Not sure if Kirsten caught the inside of the apron there. We'll take another look at it. Yeah, and Bell going into the corner just got very, very tight going through. Nearly spun that 92 Camaro around, and the one car, Apollo Hyde, back out front here. So Apollo Hyde now with the race lead has gotten around Tanner Williams, who was just really, really loose and nearly getting run over by Kirsten was Williams. That was a recipe for disaster. Williams is just in everybody's way right now as he's trying to stay to the outside of that 33 car. All over the place right now. I think he tried to come down the pit lane, but was just very, very loose. Something that hopefully be fixed prior to the main event here in that 33 car, but he is all over the place here at the Monster Mile, kind of racing a little bit like Amber Balkan was in the ARCA race last year. She was a little bit all over the place. Ended up being caught up in the big one in last year's General Tire 150 at the Monster Mile. Of course, these cars using the NX20 Xfinity cars that have been used over the last couple of seasons. Of course, I myself am more partial to the ARCA Menard series, given that got some personal stake in there. Brother is the crew chief of the number 31 machine for Rise Motorsports. A little reference and a nod to former driver in this league, Tim Goulet Jr. Tate Dorsey stuck on the high lane. He falls back into the clutches of both Nikki Conti and Tyler Stallhood. Coming around to 2 laps to go here in heat number 1 of the afternoon, as Conti will go to the low side of the 33 of Williams. Right now, the inside lane will be Apollo Hyde, who is looking for win number 5 of the season. Kirsten Bell, Ike Durbin, Emmy Schizzato, Nikki Conti, Tyler Stallhood, Tate Dorsey, and Tanner Williams. 19 entries here this afternoon at the Monster Mile. Coming around to the final lap here in heat number 1 is Apollo Hyde. We'll take the final lap here at Dover. Bell right now, 0.98 seconds back of the one machine, going on to the back straightaway for the final time in heat number 1. Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time here in this opening heat, and the checkered flag will fall. Apollo Hyde will win heat number 1 here this afternoon. Kirsten Bell is second. Ike Durbin will be third, and we'll get heat number 2 started up here in just a couple of moments, but the inside lane is as shown right now. We're going to see how all this will shape up here with the transition between heats 1 and 2. I believe everybody is going to go off of the racetrack, and then everybody will join on here for the second 25-lap race, if I'm not mistaken. And nope, we're just going to get things reset here for heat number 2.
Drivers, to your cars.
Everybody coming in and out as they please. And heat number 2 is going to feature the other 8 or 9 drivers that'll be on the grid here this afternoon. There's Keith Hughes there in car number 82. Missed last week's race on the streets of Chicago, but he is back here in a good way. Here in that Bucky's number 82, there's a look at Dunlaprod's machine. Some more drivers trying to get things going here. I believe we are just waiting. Not sure who we are waiting on. I believe it might be Vincenzo Focasato that we are waiting on there in the 37 machine. And there he is. Drivers, we're ready to go racing.
Start your engines!
Here in heat number 2 of this afternoon's race. Everybody will grid up down the back straightaway. Getting ready for the second 25-lap heat here at the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic. Dunlaprod and Vincenzo Focasato in row 1. Keith Hughes and Keon Daly in row number 2. Tala Aziz and Rich Roy in row number 3. Blake Warren, Trek Togger in row 4. And Crystal Bennett all the way back there in the 84. Green flag in the air and a really good jump on the inside lane for Dunlaprod. He got a really good jump there in that 74 Camaro. Keith Hughes and Vincenzo Focasato will be the first 3 cars right behind that number 74 car. Crystal Bennett all the way in the back will spin around. That Dodge Charger will go around. Same thing with the 94 of Keon Daly. It's not going to be a multiple, I believe. Talia Aziz also going around. And we're back here amidst some technical difficulties. Once again, the storms on the East Coast have been affecting with almost everybody's internet up in here. But it's a 3-car battle for the top spot on lap number 8. Tala Aziz and Crystal Bennett have pulled their automobiles behind the wall. 7 cars remain here. This opening heat. It's Dunlaprod in the 74 car. Continues to run out in front with Focasato right on his heels there in car number 37. A little bit wide through the corner goes Keith Hughes, and that Bucky's Accord up into the outside wall. Not going to lose a whole lot of time as he hangs the rear end on the back there. Going through the corners, another very loose setup here. Of course, like they say, loose is fast and just barely in control. Hughes into the wall once again. Laprade a little bit tight off of the corner, and Vincenzo Focusato will take the race lead here, approaching the midway point in heat number 2. Focusato out front in that Momo, number 37 Mazda. Keith Hughes up the racetrack once again. That Bucky's Honda into the outside wall, and between the two is Dun Laprade. And a lap car in front, that's Keon Daly in the 94. Close closing distance between the 37 and the 94 as Daly will go on the high side. He's going to have to come back down here going through the corner. It's going to be a little bit close. Daly will keep that car against the safer barrier. Focusato is through. Laprade trying to get around the lap number 94 machine, and he will. Keon Daly will go one lap down there in that 94 machine. Focusato around turns 3 and 4. Retains out front. Daly just hoping for a couple more retirees here in this contest, and Focusato from the lead spins the 37 car around. He gets T-boned by the 82. Keon Daly was in it as well. The caution flag has come out here for the first time in heat number 2. Fortunately, this is moderate damage, but Vincenzo Focusato got pile driven there by Keith Hughes, and there was nowhere for Hughes to go. That was ugly. Focusato was able to drive away from the accident scene. And those guys were far out enough in front where it didn't really affect their position all that much. And how about this move? Got some drivers staying out. Blake Warren and Rich Roy will stay out here in the late stages of Heat 2. Trek Togger will also stay out. Same thing with Keith Hughes, despite getting caught up in that accident. He has got to back down that 82 car a lot. Brake. All right, he's good. I believe Keith Hughes, he might actually be off the lead lap after that accident. Focusing with both Laprade and Focusato. Again, Focusato is going to have a lot of damage to repair there in that 37 car. See him repairing the damage. Same thing with Keith as everybody is down on the back straightaway. Laprade, first one out of the pit lane, and on first inspection of that crash, we cut right at the exact time that it happened, and Focusato we saw him hang at the back end through the corners a lot, and I think he just lost the back end of it, spun that 37 car around, and then just nowhere for Keith Hughes to go. Tough break for both those drivers, and I think Keith is definitely going to go at least a lap down here. Yeah, with the damage that he is going to need to be repaired, Keith Hughes will be going a lap down, it looks like. The lights are off on the pace car. This has really thrown a big monkey wrench into the complexion of this race. We're now Rich Roy as we come around to take the restart with 7 laps to go here in heat number 2. Rich Roy will be the race leader. Blake Warren on the outside of him. Trek Togger in third. Top 3 cars stayed out. And everybody else came down the pit lane. Keon Daly, who was 1 lap down at the time of caution, took the wave around. He is down the pit lane, and he will cycle back up with these guys here on the restart. It'll be 8 laps to go, my apologies. Focusato will get re-gridded. Rich Roy is the control car as he and Blake Warren are on the front row. A late race restart here in heat number 2. We are green and live. And Warren spun the tires right on the start. He did not get going. Dun Laprade gets turned. Same thing with Keon Daly. Laprade around to the 74, and That was not good and not what you wanted there if you were Blake Warren spinning your tires right on that restart. And the yellow flag will fly immediately after that, and that was muy unfortunato on that one. As Blake Warren immediately retiring from the race, he will finish in front of both Crystal Bennett and Tala Aziz. And it'll be 6 cars remaining on the grid, and Vincenzo Focasato, after all of that, was able to gain up to 3rd there in that 37 Mazda. And Rich Roy will stay out here once again. Same thing with Trek Togger. We've seen it here at Dover time and time again. Drivers spinning their tires right on the restart. And that's just a tough situation there for Blake Warren. Just nothing else really to say about it. We are going to get a restart here. I believe it'll be next time by we'll get the restart, since John LaPrade did in fact come down the pit lane. He is going to have to repair some damage there in that 74 car. So we'll get one more pace lap before everybody will regrid, and we'll get this race restarted with about 4 laps to go. But right now, Rich Roy leads. Trek Togger in second. Focasato, who flipped upside down in this heat, looking for the flip and win. Keith Hughes is not out of the battle yet, and Keon Daly up in here as well. He is up to 5th. Again, this heat will set the outside row. The outside lane, I should say, for the 75-lap main event here at the Dover Motor Speedway. And LaPrade back down the pit lane. Remember, last week, LaPrade broke 2nd gear on the streets of Chicago. And his afternoon not starting off on the best of terms here. And Keon Daly spun trying to get to the choose cone. So he will be relegated towards the tail end of the field here. But Focasato, first car on the inside lane. He has got about 16 lap fresher tires than anybody else on the grid, not named Keith Hughes. Don LaPrade trying to catch back up here. He is still getting repairs on the pit lane. Right now, 5 cars slated to take the restart with 4 laps to go. LaPrade has got to book it if he wants to catch up to these guys who are midway down the back straightaway. Lights are off on the Chevy Camaro pace car. We will get a 4-lap shootout to decide the outside lane here for the 75-lap main event. LaPrade is gridded up. They're on the line, ready for the start. Roy and Togger, row 1. Focasato, Daly, row 2. Here we go. 4 laps to go. Trek Togger gets the restart, and he is trying to get there on the outside lane. Here comes Rich Roy, and Don LaPrade is able to get around both. Roy goes around, somehow did not hit anybody. Keith Hughes and Focasato are together once again. We're past the point of no return, so we are going to remain green, and Don LaPrade, after running into the back end of the number 8 machine out front there in the 74. LaPrade trying to drive that Camaro like he stole it. Keon Daly in second. Togger falls back to 3rd. Rich Roy wrecking on the front straightaway, nearly gets run over by both Focasato and Hughes. 2 to go here in race number 2. And look at Keon Daly. He's got a lot of closing distance on that 74 car. Daly might have a shot to win this second heat. Rich Roy will finish in 6th. Daly is coming, and he is coming fast in that 94 Charger. Off turn 4, white flag in stage number 2. And, well, Keon Daly got a DQ. I believe he had some sort of penalty. So, that's not going to be, we're not going to worry about the race there to the end. Because coming off of turn 4, Dunlop, the spin and the win in stage number 2, or heat number 2 rather. Dunlop will get the job done here, and he will win heat 2. Dunlop will go back to the garage area, and we will get gridded up here for the 75-lap main event here at the Dover Motor Speedway. Your starting lineup will be the following. Apollo Hyde will start on the inside of row 1. On the outside will be Dunlop. Row 2, Kirsten Bell and Trek Togger. Row 3, Vincenzo Focusato to the outside of Ike Durbin. We'll have to see how the DQ will play into things right now. I believe that Keon Daly, we'll have to see how things are going to shake out here with Keon Daly. How this will all be sorted out. I believe Daly will be starting in 10th on the outside there in that 94 car. And we're back in the server after some more technical difficulties with our internet on our side of things. We apologize. There's a look at Bill Turner's number 98 car. And this is the starting lineup for today's 75-lap main event for the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic. Apollo Hyde and Dunlop in row 1. Kirsten Bell and Vincenzo Focusato in row 2. Ike Durbin and Keith Hughes in row 3. Emmy Schizzato and Keon Daly will be in row 4. Tyler Stallhood and Tala Aziz, row 5. Tate Dorsey and Rich Roy will be in row 6. Nikki Conti and Blake Warren, row 7. Bill Turner and Trek Togger will be in row 8. And Tanner Williams will make up the 17-car field here at the Monster Mile. We're going to pause a little bit once again because our internet keeps fluctuating back and forth. When we come back, we will have the start of the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic.
Ever since we hired Dale Jr. at IHOP, breakfast has been moving fast.
All right, more plates of pancakes, gotta serve, table 3, go, go, go!
Huh?
Is that Dale Jr.?
Order for catering? Look, it's pancakes!
Dine-in delivery catering.
Will you sign my pancakes?
Hell no! Get the fuck off the racetrack! You stupid son of a bitch!
And we are just about ready to go here, one car away from getting the command, so we'll send it downstairs to get the command for the 75-lap main event here at the Monster Mile.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines roar to life here on the back straightaway at Dover. 19 cars ready to do battle here at the Monster Mile. Apollo Hyde and Dunlop in row number 1. Kirsten Bell and Vincenzo Focusato are row 2. Ike Durbin and the 82 of Keith Hughes are in row number 3. A couple of cars having issues right on the start. We'll get gridded up here and get ready to rumble. Trek Togger will go up there. Trek Togger will actually be starting in 4th here this afternoon. Might have one extra pace lap to get things going, get things all situated. I believe we might have everything situated as we go down the front straightaway. And here we go. Green flag is in the air, and the Autotrader EchoPark Midsummer Classic is green for the Monster Mile. Tyler Stallhood stalled a little bit there on the opening lap as Apollo Hyde will come around to lead lap number 1, and Kirsten Bell hot on his tail there in that number 92. Single file throughout the majority of the field back in here as Blake Warren trying to make a charge there from starting deep in the field after spinning the tires on the first restart in heat number 2. Emmy Schizzato right now in that 4th spot. As Tyler Stallhood is back on the track there, that number 7 machine. Kirsten Bell has gotten around Apollo Hyde for the race lead here on lap number 4. Bell will go to the race lead there, and that number 92 machine, Apollo Hyde, will follow suit. Everybody now starting to run their own lines here as Keith Hughes will caboose this 7-car breakaway up in here, and everybody single file. It's a train here in Delaware. Bell goes to the front, Hyde right behind him. Right behind them is Apollo Hyde, and right behind her is LePron. Same thing with Ike Durbin, and here comes Hyde down to the low side. Looking for the crossover move, going through the corner. A little twitchy in and out of the corner there is Kirsten Bell. They're able to keep us straight. They were able to retain the lead here on lap number 7. Stallhood and Tanner Williams towards the tail end of the field as Williams will knock the wall off of turn number 4. Trek Togger and Bill Turner also go in the wrong direction. Same thing with Tala Aziz, who started deep in this field. These two drivers that couldn't get enough of one another in heat number 2, Focusato and Hughes. Right now, nose to tail, Focusato in 6th, Hughes in 7th. They're all trying to chase down that 92 car of Kirsten Bell. Dunlapron, the Heat 2 winner, trying to find his way around Apollo Hyde as they continue to go single file throughout the opening run here at the Monster Mile. Hyde is going to have a little bit of a gap there going into turn 1. Bell will shut the door, and Hyde is going to go a little bit up the hill off of the corner. She's able to keep that Honda Accord straight. Bell a little bit squirrely there in terms of net code, but they'll continue to lead here. 9 laps into this contest. But again, like we saw towards the tail end there in heat number 1, Apollo Hyde's Accord is dialed in for these long runs. On these short runs that are right off of the start, it's a little bit touch and go. Once they were able to get dialed in here, it is a thing of beauty as Dunlapron was looking to the low side of Apollo Hyde's 1 machine. Bell skittering and scattering in and out there in the 92. They're able to keep that car straight. And still in the server, they might be having some severe netcode issues with all the storms on the East Coast. We'll stay away from that car to prevent us from bouncing out of the server ourselves. Like we said in the pre-race show, as Keith Hughes has gotten around Vincenzo Focusato, like we were talking about in Heat 2, Emmy Schizzato was caught up in a big crash, a little bit of a violent single-car crash in Chicago last week, stuffing their car into the tire barriers. In turn number 4, Keith very, very loose out of 4. Able to keep that Bucky's Accord straight. Focusato not able to mount a little bit of a charge there. Those two continue to battle for position. Again, 75 laps here at Dover. Sounds like a lot, but these guys running lap times in the 22-second range right now. With Schizzato running a 21.262 second lap, the fastest time on the board right now. And Bill Turner, in terms of lap traffic, nearly got run over there by Kirsten Bell. He's got to be very careful. Same thing with Tanner Williams. He'll go up the hill and will let the lit car pass. Someone else on the inside lane there. Not sure if anybody was coming off of the pit lane. Williams is trying to let everybody go past him there in the 33 car. Schizzato trying to gain ground in the 42, and everybody will get around the loose Gazoo Racing entry of Tanner Williams. Now Landon Lyle has spun around in the 99. He did not compete in either of the heats. So we started this race deep back in the field as Schizzato nearly got ran over there by Keith Hughes in the quarter panel. They were able to keep their automobiles straight. Trek Togger next up on the chopping block to be lapped there by Bell. 98 car is way around the corner, and around goes Ike Durbin. He'll back that 86 car into the outside wall. He's going to hold it up the hill, and no caution for a single car spin, and Durbin will go to the tail end of the field here, and that is a tough break for Ike Durbin, who was running in 4th at the time. Not the case anymore, as the field will get around Togger there in the 60. Hyde now starting to mount a really good charge at the back end of that 92. He's down to about half a car length. Laprade waiting in the wings for these guys to make a little bit of a mistake. Hyde a little bit tight off of corner exit, but we're able to keep that one car ramrod straight. The gap now 2 car lengths between the 92 and the 1 machine as we approach the 3rd of the waypoint. Through the Autotrader EchoPark Midsummer Classic here at the Monster Mile, and after today, only 2 races will remain in season number 6 of the Fuel Racing League on the North American Sim Racing Network, and I believe Paulo Hyde will have a chance to clinch the championship next week. I don't remember if it is Iowa next week or Watkins Glen, or one of the two. We'll get a look here at the schedule in just one moment, but it continues to be Kirsten Bell running that 92 car like they stole it. In fact, it's Indianapolis. I was wrong on both fronts. Next week at Indianapolis, I believe Paulo Hyde will have a chance to clinch the championship here for season number 6. Before we will go to the Iowa Speedway over in Newton, Iowa, and Jasper County, Iowa. It's not heaven, it's Iowa Speedway. Bell caught the inside lip there, and that's going to set up a good run for Hyde. Where does Hyde go, trying to make the outside lane work? It's a little bit tight going through the apex, but she's going to be right on the back bumper of that 92 car. Rolling through the corner, still trying to make the outside lane work, trying to go the long way around is that EEE Honda. Bell shuts the door, here comes the crossover from Hyde. Those two nearly had some bumper grab there off of the back straightaway, but they're able to remain straight, and Bell will retain the lead here. Some pretty good racing there, and I applied Paulo Hyde trying to make that work, as again, Bell is going to clip the apron through the apex of 1 and 2. That's going to set up Apollo for another real good run, just trying to make that outside lane work, and lap traffic is in the way of these two. Turner and Stallhood and Durbin ahead of the 2 leaders. Turner already down 1 lap. He will move to the outside lane, and he will let the top 2 pass. Same thing with Laprade. Stallhood next on the chopping block. Bell trying to power that 92 car down to the low side. Stallhood, Durbin, and Williams next up to be put a lap down, and this is going to play right into the favor of Paulo Hyde. Bell is able to get around Stallhood, a little bit shaky here and there. Hyde also around Stallhood, Williams into the outside wall. Bell nut-coating back and forth hard there in the 92, but still has got a 3-car length lead over the penultimate driver of Paulo Hyde, past the 3rd of the way mark. Through this afternoon's race, we'll have to see when these guys will come down the pit lane here. It's Bell, who was caught up to the back end of that equally purple and black number 86 car of Ike Durbin. Bell down to the low side. Ike will make way. Oh, it's going to be tight up in here as Paulo Hyde nearly ran up into Ike Durbin. Durbin will plant that 86 car all the way away from these guys. Top 3 still cannot get off of one another. And it's been Paulo Hyde chasing that rear bumper of Kirsten Bell for the better part of about 25 laps. Blake Warren also in the crossfire of both Bell and Hyde. Warren will go up the hill. He'll break way of everybody up in here for these 2 leaders continuing to battle. Same thing with Landon Lyle. Tala Aziz also will be in the crossfire. Trek Togger caught the apron there through turn 4. He's able to keep that 60 car straight. Landon Lyle and the Nintendo Toyota Supra being caught up here by both Bell and Stallhood right now. So 94 of Keon Daly retired from the race. Not sure what the issue is there. I believe they may have fallen out of the server. Lyle staying to the high side here. Trying to track back down low is Vincenzo Focasato. Trying to catch up to this Menage a Trois up towards the front end of the field, and it's pretty close. Dunlaprade is going to hang that 74 car's rear end off of the corner, and he got a lot of ground there off turn 4. Laprade is now going to make this a 3-car battle for the race lead, but he is going to try to get that second spot away from Apollo Hyde. Laprade now trying to use Hyde's tactics against him. He's going to go to the outside lane as Tate Dorsey is down the pit area. Bell has gotten around Togger for the second time this afternoon. Tanner Williams is down as well, and I believe we will be seeing green flag pit stops here over the next couple of laps, and everybody is backing into one another. Trying to lay it down a little bit low here is Focasato, trying to get around Laprade for third. Laprade on the high lane there in car 74. See when these guys will come down the pit lane for some fresh Goodyears. I think Hyde might be coming down next time by. See if Kirsten Bell will... We only got lap traffic, so we do know that. But nothing on the radar in terms of pitting just yet. But this is a big pack of cars back in here, and top 4 drivers are going to be all on top of one another as we approach the midway point through this contest. This time by will be the halfway point through today's race here at the Dover Motor Speedway. Kirsten Bell has led all but one lap of this race so far. They'll get the cross flags at the start-finish line. We're officially halfway home, 37 down, 38 to go here. For today's coverage of the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic here at Dover. Williams back down the pit lane. They were caught speeding. Laprade trying to get around Hyde there, and Focasato looking to wait in the wings there for a possible move. Top 4 cars are broken out to a 5-second lead over the 82 of Keith Hughes, who's running some qualifying laps right now, essentially. Rich Roy next up to be put a lap down. He is the last car on the tail end of the lead lap. Same thing with Tate Dorsey. As Tate Dorsey continues to ride there in the 6 car, in trouble for Landon Lyles in the 99. He has gone around right in front of everybody up in here. This might be a yellow flag. So leaders will go around the 99, and the yellow flag will indeed come out here for a stalled car in turn 4. That'll put us under the caution for the first time today here at Dover. And that's really going to shake things up, because we expected these guys to come down the pit lane within the next 10 laps or so. And instead of green flag pit stops, we're going to get controlled yellow flag pit stops. Kirsten Bell won the race back to the start-finish line. Everybody will be coming down the pit lane here, and we expected these guys were going to come down on the green flag, and somebody was turning around. We had a big stack up back in here. Tyler Stallhood, Rich Roy. I think Landon Lyle may have had a hand in that accident as well, and these guys are going to stay out. Rather, these guys are all on the wave around, so they'll all come down next time by. But here we go. Top 4 drivers that we're paying attention to, pitting all in line We'll see if anybody takes 2 tires or if everybody will be taking 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Kirsten Bell was the first one in their pit stall. Their 4 tires are out and away. Who will take second? It will be Apollo Hyde, with LaPrade and Focusato coming out for 3rd and 4th. Keith Hughes will rejoin this battle. He is in 5th. Everybody else will come on here. 5 cars were on the lead lap. We'll take a look and see what happened to put us under the first caution flag of the afternoon here at the Monster Mile of Dover. So this is the shot with Kirsten Bell at the forefront. Everybody in front of them, I believe, is going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. We'll be getting the one to go this time by, and everybody will, in fact, race ahead. Here we come at the choose. Ready for the restart is Kirsten Bell. Bell, Hyde, LaPrade, Schizzato, Focusato, and Conti. Your top 6 going back through the gears. Through the Geico restart zone they go, and green flag back out in the air. Here we go once again at Dover. LaPrade on the inside lane is going to get a good tow. Remember, Schizzato up in here in this battle as well, up to 4th now for the 42 car. Bell will put the power back down low. Hyde looking for the run off of the corner there once again. Back in here, everybody has a clean restart. The top 4 on top of one another once again. Bell in the 92 has dominated the first stint of this race, and Apollo Hyde has spent the entirety right behind them. Hyde continues to try to be in the tire tracks there of that 92 car. LaPrade has ran in 3rd for the majority of this race, and this is the highest that we've seen Schizzato run so far here in this contest. 8 cars right now on the lead lap. The final car that was able to stay on the lead lap there was Rich Roy in the 29, who was deep in the field there in that Mazda. Tyler Stallhood all the way in the back there in the 7 as well. Bell continuing to show the way there in that 92, and Hyde just trying to stay in the tire tracks, but I think he might have used up a lot of his stuff as LaPrade goes underneath of Schizzato for 3rd. Trying to get a podium finish there in that 74, and Schizzato down on the low side once again. Focusato may go 3 wide as LaPrade will fall back to 5th. Here comes Focusato trying to get on the back end of Schizzato there on the 42. Schizzato now up to 3rd there in that Red Bull Charger. A little bit up the hill goes the 37 of Focusato. All these guys continue to try to track down Kirsten Bell as she goes through turn 2. .25 now coming around to 24 laps to go for Kirsten Bell, looking to go wire to wire there in that 92 car. Hyde back there in second. Schizato now up to third as Dunlaprade fell back a little bit there in the 74. Hyde back there in the 1. Up the hill she goes. Schizato looking for an opportunity. Trying to find a way down the low side there is that Red Bull Dodge Charger. Looking for some wings to get around the E-car of Hyde. And all this is happening behind Bell. Again, has been running their race like there's no tomorrow. Tyler Stallhood down the pit lane once again there in the 7. Approaching 20 laps to go here. Bell still leading. Schizato up to third. Now she's going to try to look for second underneath of Apollo Hyde. Focusato just still waiting in the wings for all these guys to potentially make a mistake. He goes up the hill. We'll keep that Momo car underneath of him. 21 laps to go as Schizato looking for the crossover. They'll go up the hill on the 42. Here comes Focusato down to the low side once again. They may have just got very tight going into turn 1, and here comes Focusato now up to third. 20 laps to go here from the Monster Mile of Dover. Tyler Stallhood will creep back onto the racetrack, hopefully not looking for a Kevin Swindell-esque moment. Stallhood back on the surface, and he will come back down the pit lane. I believe he is serving some penalties there in the 7 machine. So he will come back down the racing area, and Schizato now trying to get around that 37 car once again. Hyde on the back end of the 92. That's like nearly the closest he has been all night long, but it's one thing to catch up to Kirsten Bell. It's another to try to get around them. Bell with a really good run through the corner that time around. They're up to their biggest gap over Apollo Hyde of the night so far, about 4 car lengths. Now what does Focusato have for Apollo Hyde as these two continue to fight for this championship? Hyde is looking for a really good run. Remember, Focusato finished last week ahead of Apollo Hyde. Would love to do so here once again at the Monster Mile with 2 races remaining in the season. Vincenzo goes a little bit up the hill. No harm, no foul there. Up the racetrack they continue to go. Now 15 laps to go here from Dover, and Bell trying to hold on there in that 92 machine. And their first ever start here on the Fuel Racing League last week on the streets of Chicago. On an oval, they're looking to go 2 for 2. Looking to be the Shane Van Gisbergen of the Fuel Racing League here late in season number 6. Emi Schizato has fallen into the clutches of Keith Hughes. That is the battle right now for 4th. Scratch that, that's the battle for 6th. 42 and the 82. Once again, we're wrong. That's the battle for a top 5 spot. Keith Hughes just trying to get around Schizato there on the 42 car. Bell up to a 0.3 of a second lead over Apollo Hyde. They're going to have about a 5 car length lead that time around. The gap remains at 0.3 of a second between the 92 and the 1. Up the hill goes Focusato. Here comes Laprade, and here comes lap traffic. 2 cars in the way of Bell, Williams, and Togger. Williams goes up the racetrack. He's going to have double file behind him. Here comes Focusato splitting the duck there between the 33 and the 74. A bonsai move for Focusato, but he is able to make it work. Might be behind that 60 of Togger. He'll now go down to the low side for the crossover. Up the hill goes Williams. Could potentially see another caution come out here with the lap traffic as Hughes will get around Hogger as well, and for the race lead with 11 laps to go. Hyde trying to get around that 92 car. They've been nose to tail all race long, but just not able to put the power down. That may have been the race for the win here, but we are going to have 10 laps to go here from the Monster Mile. Bell trying to survive against one of the best here in the Fuel Racing League. Laprade up to third. Waiting for these two to potentially make a move, make contact, and potentially take one another out of this race. Apollo Hyde is going to have another run coming off for the corner here. 9 laps to go from Dover Downs. Apollo Hyde, who is an avid fan of horse racing, trying to trot their way to a victory here at Dover. Now trying to make that outside lane work once again. Not sure if that'll work on older tires as she nearly runs into the outside wall off of turn 4. Back down the racetrack they go. Laprade, equidistant of a distance between Bell and Hyde. And Apollo Hyde may have used up all of their momentum and probably a lot of their tire wear on that move to the inside of the 92 of Bell. The gap now, 0.3 of a second, a third of a second between Bell and Hyde. Laprade trying to make this a 3-horse race. Right on the back end of Apollo Hyde, got very tight in their aero wash going through the corner. 6 laps to go as the battle for second is on. Laprade will now go to the high side. Focusato trying to make this a 3-car race for second. Keith Hughes waiting in the wings as well, but this is all happening behind Kirsten Bell, side by side for second. Hyde just looking for a little bit of ground there in that one machine. 5 laps to go here in the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic from the Monster Mile, and it's Kirsten Bell that's looking to lead nearly all 75 laps here at Dover. We're past the point of no return. A wreck happens now. We will remain green for the rest of the race, and here comes Laprade, puts that 74 car to the inside of the one of Apollo Hyde. Laprade will now go to second, Hyde back in third. That may be the end of this race here as Bell runs up. The 29 car slow on the racetrack as Rich Roy will get out of the way of everybody. Tate Dorsey now in front of Bell. Dorsey goes up the hill. Here comes Laprade now, trying to put the pedal down. Oh, he might have a good chance here on Bell if he's able to get up here to that 92 car. Sticks high in the Delaware air. 2 laps to go here from the Dover Motor Speedway for Kirsten Bell. The gap still remaining at 0.4 of a second between the 92 and the 74. Tala Aziz will be in the way of Bell with 1.5 miles to go here from Dover. Aziz is out of the racing groove. White flag is out. One final time around. Dover for Kirsten Bell. Bell down to the inside. Aziz into the outside wall. Laprade looking for a late race charge. Hyde and Focusato battling back there for third. One final chance there for Laprade, but it's not going to be in time. Off the final corner. 2 wins in a row for Kirsten Bell. They'll get the job done at the Monster Mile. Batting 1,000 indeed was Kirsten Bell. 2 for 2 here in Fuel. Bell is going to give both Focusato and the one of Apollo Hyde a run for their money here for dominance. Likely next season as Focusato will turn that 37 car around. Aziz will run right in the attenuator like we're typically accustomed to here at the Fuel Racing League. Kirsten Bell will burn it down here on the front straightaway. Sunoco fueling victories like they fuel my 2007 Honda Pilot. 2 races ran for Kirsten Bell, and 2 times that 92 car has been at the top of the scoring pylon. He'll burn it down here on the front straightaway, and Tanner Williams will pull a Robbie Gordon, will stay out. Bell continues to burn that 92 car down here on the front straightaway at Dover. We'll meet him down at Gatorade Victory Lane. Kirsten Bell's second win of the season here at Dover. And we are back here at the Dover Motor Speedway. As we have concluded today's 75-lap race here, we'll get into our post-race interviews.
User was moved to your channel.
It's Kirsten Bell, who won the race, will join us for our first interview of the afternoon. Here. Kirsten, you got a copy from us on the booth?
Hello, I can hear you.
Well, you certainly have had quite a good last couple of weeks here for being a rookie to the Fuel Racing League. 2 races entered and 2 wins. This win coming on the high banks of Dover has it feel to be batting 1,000 continuously here after beating the pants off of some of the best here in the Fuel Racing League.
It feels pretty good, to be honest with you. I had, no confidence entering the race. I kept spinning out in practice. I don't know if anyone saw, but anytime I go onto the track, I would be spinning out because I was trying to find that edge before it would go around on me. And I found that edge way too many times, but somehow holding off Gunn and Apollo was just amazing to me. As long as you could hold the bottom line and not give any room there in the corner, you would be able to hold the position pretty easily. The few times that Apollo did get to my inside, I was able to just roll the top, entering the corner, and cut back down by the center and be able to get the runoff and stay in the lead.
Well, you certainly were, and like you said, you were running a pretty loose setup in practice. Were you able to really adjust on that prior to going into the first couple of heats?
I didn't adjust anything throughout the heats in the race. I didn't adjust a single thing. I pretty much just tried to not get over the edge and loop it around like I nearly did in the first heat.
Yeah, and that first heat wasn't, like you said, had some trouble there in that first heat, but you're able to get back up to second there for a good inside lane start, and right off of the start, you were able to duck down to the inside of Apollo High, I believe on the first lap or so. I kind of fell out of the server right at the start there, so I was trying to get some bearings on that, but overall, how does it feel to really beat out some of these top-tier guys like Apollo High, Dunlop Prod, and Vincenzo Focusato, guys that have been established veterans here in the Fuel Racing League over the last couple seasons?
It feels amazing. Like, some of these guys I used to race when I first started, and I was nowhere near the talent level that they are at. But I've pretty much worked my tail off to get better as a driver and be able to contend with those 3 on a weekly basis.
Well, you certainly have, and before we get out of Dodge, anybody that you'd like to shout out, give any sort of a shout out for a sponsorship or anything like that, same as last week?
I don't really have anyone. Pretty much just the people that were in my call not shutting up, not letting me focus on the race at hand.
Yeah, that's typically how things go here in the chaotic Fuel Racing League. Well, Kirsten, congratulations on your second career win and your second ever start. I think you're starting to become the Shane Van Gisbergen of Fuel Racing League here in Season 6. Congratulations once again.
Thank you for having me.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was Kirsten Bell, driver of the number 92 machine. We'll next go to Dunn Laprade, who finished in second here in the number 74.
User was moved to your channel.
Dunn, do you have a copy from us up in the broadcast booth?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, you certainly had quite an eventful race there in the 74. Quite an eventful evening as well, from having some little bit of struggles going into the heat race to being able to be all the way up here and getting a runner-up spot. Going back to the heat race, I believe you had some trouble right on the start there. One of the restarts with Blake Warren spun the tires. How are you able to rebound and readjust after that setback to go all the way up to winning that's first ever that first heat, that second heat, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, I got, Blake spun the tires on his restart, and I tried to avoid it, and the hole just wasn't there. And I noticed that everybody went to stayed out on the racetrack, so I just came. I knew that I was going to be like, uh, I was going to be in the back anyway, so I just said, what the heck, just go to pit road, change 4 tires, because you had a bit much better advantage on the restart, at least for me at that point, because with everybody else staying out, they had colder tires, whereas I had fresh set of Goodyear tires, and I've made some adjustments, and that restart. I don't know how I made it work, but I made it work, and got around them, and got the win. It was not the most easiest restart to do ever, but yeah, then yeah, we were able to get the win there, and then obviously I always prioritize trying to stay up front, so that was a good way to stay up to the front, and at least a good starting point for the main event.
It definitely was. And now transitioning into the main event there, you were able to run about third or fourth throughout the entire afternoon. You were battling a little bit there with Emi Schizzato towards the middle of the race where the caution came out and kind of threw things a little bit out of whack. How did that caution both help you and hurt you in trying to get up to the race lead?
I don't think it helped me, or I don't think it hurt me, nor did it. Uh, I don't think it benefited me, nor did it hurt me. I was even with them too, and that was just that was just kind of like a warm up of how I was gonna strategize the final 30 some laps to the finish. And yeah, I mean, I just let Apollo, Emmy, and Vincenzo go by, and just trying to conserve my tires, and because it's a this track takes up the right side of your tires. I mean, it heats up your tires pretty significantly, especially your right side tires, and I wanted to drive off of my wheels more so than my front, because especially in the long runs, if I made some just setup changes to where I could drive off of the rear, which is what I want, and not having to rely on driving the front, because like I said, the right front would be in the yellow in a heartbeat if I'm not careful. So made some setup changes before the race, and just kind of tweak it out and see what I can do. And then, like I said, just kind of baby it out those first couple of laps and let them all go by. And then about 15 laps ago, that's when I decided to pick it up. I probably would have gotten accused it, but I think they were just on a different platter. I mean, heck of a win for Houston. I'm so proud of them for being able to win that race. Um, Second week in a row too. I don't know, like Houston's got a lot of talent, and they proved the why. So I'm happy to uh, come close to a driver like Houston. I know that they have a bright future ahead of them, and like I said, I thought I could get to Houston, but I think I just, even if I might have ran out of time. I think I was stuck behind. Well, I was stuck behind Apollo for like 3, 2, 4 laps, whatever it was. But even if I got around Apollo sooner, I don't know if I would have had anything to be able to get to Houston, because I was able to slightly get up there to Houston after I got around Apollo. But I don't know. I think it would need to be a lot more. Uh, I probably would have needed about 10 more laps or something like that, maybe. I don't know. But to come home second again, that's not too bad, despite what happened last week. And hopefully it's a good warm up for the fast cup race here at Dover in a couple of days.
Definitely should be. And, going to the final two races of the season, going to Indianapolis next week and then Iowa the week after. What are you going to be looking for placing on the pylon wise? You're going to be looking mostly to get in the top five. You're going to be looking to beat out now probably three of the best drivers in the Fuel Racing League in the NRC, Hyde, Vincenzo Focusato, and now we can add Kirsten Bell's name to that list along with yourself.
I don't know what my schedule is for those two races. I have to see what my schedule is if the sponsorship funding can justify that. But I mean, Indianapolis and Iowa, I've done well at both of those tracks before. I've won a couple at Indianapolis, so I'm pretty familiar with that. So if I'm able to, I'll definitely show up to that one. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, just like tonight, it was tough to beat Apollo, Vinny, Kirsten, Emmy, and quite Ike, and quite many other drivers in the field as well, and in all in general. So it's going to be interesting, and hopefully I'll be able to show up to them two races. But like I said, just have to see how it all plays out.
Hopefully we'll like to see you on the pylon there in that 74 car before we get out of Dodge. You mentioned that you're looking for some sponsors. Anybody that you'd like to shout out and give some airtime to here in the NASRN?
Shout out to Team EFR. If you know, you know. Shout out to you for the broadcast, and a shout out to everyone watching at home. Shout out to Tyler Starhood for the league. Shout out to all the drivers who raced tonight, and shout out to Kirsten on the awesome win. And shout out to everyone who has made me a better driver.
Certainly one of the best, and we're blessed to have you here on the Fuel Racing League. Dunn, congratulations on a second place finish here at the Monster Mile.
Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was Dunn LePron, driver of the number 74, the Schaefer Group. And now going to our third place driver here on the pylon. No surprise to see this driver in the podium here for the interviews, driving the number 1 EEE Honda Accord, Apollo Hyde. Apollo, you got a copy of us in the broadcast booth?
I certainly do.
Well, congratulations on a third place run, just barely beating out your in-season rival Vincenzo Focusato, the line there for that final podium spot. But going back to the top of the broadcast in that first heat, were able to dominate that flag to flag. What were you able to really have setup-wise to put yourself ahead of the competition?
This is basically just the same setup that I ran last year. Last year, we ran here at Dover, and it was kind of, I will be honest, it was kind of a mess of a race, kind of a wreckfest of a race. But I had a really, really good car, and then about lap 55, I ended up spinning out as the leader with a 3-second lead. So I kind of wanted to come back here with some revenge here for Dover. But I got to tell you what, Kirsten's fast, Dunn's fast, Vincenzo is also fast. And yeah, these three always give me a run for my money no matter where I'm racing. If I see any of those three pop into a lobby, I know that I've really got to bring my A game if I'm going to win a race. And yeah, this is just a track where it was exceptionally difficult to make a pass on somebody if you're roughly the same speed. Just really, really difficult. The dirty air was really hard to manage. My car never really felt good once I got in behind the 92, and every time I try to make a move to the outside, I kind of just lit up the right front tire, and that was basically that. I was just clinging onto positions once that happened.
We saw you also try to make a move to the inside there midway through the race, but after that, didn't look like you had a whole lot of the same speed that you had. Did you unfortunately abuse the right front tire on that move just a little bit, or just kind of the same thing as going to the outside?
It wasn't on that move, Trey. It was on a move that I tried to make to the outside a couple of laps later down the road. I was right on the back of Kirsten. I noticed that I was a lot better through turns 3 and 4 than her. So I thought I could really get a good run on the outside, maybe get a strong run on the outside and set her up to go inside on 1 and 2 again. And not only did that not materialize, not only did I lose like 3 car lengths on that attempt to go to the outside, but it also cost me a good 10 to 15 degrees on my right front tire. And after that, the car was just plowing tight the rest of the run.
Yeah, and that is, you don't want to be driving a dump truck here at Dover, especially on old run tires, and especially with the whole mess of the field behind you. But Kirsten Bell, you mentioned the talent level that Kirsten has got, and over these last 2 races, where Kirsten has been the first 2 races being in this league, they've been able to go 2 for 2. What can you really say about her talent level and just how she's been able to really come onto the scene here over these last 2 weeks? And what are you feeling like going into next season, where Bell will be or likely be running the majority of the regular season? Do you think it's really going to be an interesting championship battle next year?
I think it will definitely be an interesting championship battle between the 4 of us, honestly. Me, Vincenzo, Kirsten, and Dunn. Like, the 4 of us are pretty much even in terms of skill level. I definitely think that Kirsten is a bit better than me at this time. Like, she actually ended up using my setup night and kind of beat me at my own game, which is always really impressive to see. You know, you love to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, like it's gonna be really difficult to win a championship going forward, Fuel, not just in GNS but in Sportsman as well. I'm definitely gonna have my hands full, because I think that realistically I'm probably gonna be the 3rd, maybe the 4th best driver going into next season. So I'm just gonna enjoy this championship run while I have it. Hopefully stay in front of the 37 the next 2 races. It's basically all I need to do to lock up the title. And as long as I do that, we're going to be just cruising along.
And you mentioned the next 2 races that we've got: Indianapolis next week and then Iowa the week after. You mentioned that you're in a tight points battle between yourself and Vincenzo Focusato, and you mentioned that, hey, you're just trying to stay out in front. What's the confidence level looking up there on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being through the roof?
Yeah, so Indianapolis is not a track that I've raced in NR 2003 yet, since returning in 2022. So my confidence level is definitely not very high there, and I've not raced at Iowa since that rookie year that I had in NR, again in 2022, although that race did go extremely well for me. So my confidence level is definitely not as high as it could be if we were going to other tracks. But what I can say is that we went out and we absolutely dominated Pocono earlier this season, and Pocono and Indianapolis are pretty similar racetracks when it comes to setup and racecraft. So I think that I might have a leg up there at Indianapolis if I can translate that speed from Pocono. And Iowa, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to hopefully bring a good enough car to, again, if all I do is finish in 3rd and Vincenzo finishes in 4th, that's championship enough for me. So that's the goal.
It certainly is. Before we let you out of here and get you back out of Dodge, anybody that you'd like to shout out, anybody that you'd like to give some airtime to?
No, nobody needs a shout out in particular at this time. Once we get to the championship, I think we've got a couple of people that will definitely shout out as big supporters. But right now, I think we're good.
You certainly were good today, and coming up a little bit short, but nonetheless staying in front of that 37 car. May have not won the battle, but you're certainly trying to win the damn war. Apollo, congratulations on a 3rd place finish here at the Monster Mile.
Thank you very much, and I love your broadcast. Keep doing the good work.
Thank you. But that's going to do it here from the Dover Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again to Kirsten Bell for winning the Autotrader EchoPark Automotive Midsummer Classic here at the Dover Motor Speedway. We'll do it all again next Thursday afternoon. Coverage for the Indianapolis race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway will begin at 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the NASRN. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen, from Dover, Delaware. On behalf of North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great night, folks. We'll see you next week at Indy.